Okay, in this video I wanted to essentially put together something I've not really seen too many talk about this as an approach. Now obviously there are a bunch of products out here which are kind of just designed to do this one thing, but I actually think Fractal is kind of pretty well placed to do a better job at this than most others. And the idea here really is using like your FM3 as a pedal platform and just making a few sort of choices. I've got my pedal board that you might have seen in the introduction there. And so these videos are brought to you by G66. That's your place to get an FM3, FM9 or ActiveX3 in the UK with no waitlist and a UK service centre. So we're going to make some choices here. I quite like double verb normal as a starting point. For each of these I'm going to keep the cab the same just because I quite like the way this specific cab sounds. So 103 legacy cab, and it saves us sort of messing around. So a Fender Twin is a pretty good candidate for like a high headroom thing. Now I think it makes sense to have a little bit of extra fluff on here, like a bit of Hall, and maybe we'll do like a little bit of a dual delay just to add in some ambience. Treating this more or less like, now you could equally set up scenes where you've got delay and reverb coming in or out. That would make a lot of sense as well. So I'm going to take this gain up a bit. Of course, like an actual Fender Twin on sit, probably not something that most of us have tried. But so in this case, chucking on a Origin Effects Tube Screamer type. Blues breaker. Tube screamer with the blues breaker. JRocket Dude. And then a Crazy Tube Circuits Venus, which is like a tube driver type. So that's kind of taking stuff well. Pretty high headroom, so you kind of get out what you put in that regard. Now what we could also do would be to experiment with some other ideas. So I thought this one is a really good choice for something similar. So we're going to go with the DC30. DC30, we're going to actually have less headroom in general. What this might mean is that when you put a bit more clarity in terms of like the overall tone, but as we jump things up in volume, it'll be a bit more polite and doesn't necessarily get as loud relatively as the Twin. Well, that's the blues breaker there. So with the Twin, in getting that super gainy because we're not really at the edge of breakup, whereas here does some really nice stuff here now, and a tube screamer. As we stack pedals, we're staying pretty nice. High-end stuff. You could engage that high cut. Crazy tube circuits here. But if you want that more voxy type sound, then leaving that cut a bit open gives you a bit more of that brightness. Let's try something different instead. What about Plexi? Let's go in here. It's just worth experimenting with like your actual pedals here and just seeing what actually happens, I think. So Plexi 100 watts 97. Venus into a Plexi. Oh, without the pedals at all. That's gorgeous. Tube screamer. Blues breaker. JRocket do. I'm not going to change anything else about that. That works really well. So just, I guess that's why you end up with these kind of three sort of classic sounds: your Fender DC30, like Voxy, and then Marshally, because kind of you get different flavors that actually work really well, but kind of differently with these pedals. Tube screamer now into the Plexi. Vox. Quite a bit softer now. Yeah, so don't be, thinking that you definitely need to sell all your pedals. I think if you've got pedals that you like, you should try jumping these into the front of your Fractal stuff. You might find that actually it works into your workflow quite nicely. And tones that I otherwise probably wouldn't have discovered. Like that one is just... Okay, so yeah, that ends today's little video. Give it a try, and again, if other folks are reading the comments, hopefully some of you guys can drop in some of your suggestions for stuff that is going to work nicely here, because obviously there are over 300 other amps that we should be checking out here. That's just 3 that I thought actually are worth taking a look at. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers for stopping by.